बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम जी। पाकिस्तान में इलेक्शन आपके सामने 24 घंटे से ज़ायद हो चुके हैं और रिज़ल्ट जो है दूसरा दिन जो शुरू हो चुका है, दूसरा दिन इख्तिताम को पहुँच चुका है। 10 बज रहे हैं इस वक्त पाकिस्तान में रात के और अब तक हमारे पास जो रिज़ल्ट्स हैं वो बिल्कुल भी नहीं आए। कल रात 2 ढाई बजे तक की सिचुएशन थी। एक्चुअली इसको अंग्रेज़ी में करेंगे क्योंकि हमारे जो गेस्ट्स हैं वो सारे उनके साथ हम अंग्रेज़ी में ही बात करेंगे, तो मेरे ख्याल से I'll switch to English now. So, elections in Pakistan, it's been over 24 hours, actually, a little over 36 hours now, that we have not, we don't know the complete results of the all 266 National Assembly seats, let alone the provisional assemblies of all four provinces. Yesterday, about 3 in the morning, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf backed candidates were the independent candidates because Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf does not have the electoral symbol. It was taken away by the Supreme Court of Pakistan on the January 13th. So they have their own different symbols that they ran on in the elections, and according to the results that we received up until 3 in the morning, Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf backed independent candidates were leading on about 170 seats, 156 seats, and by the morning it was 176. Right now, the situation is that PTI candidates are ahead in 176 constituencies. They have the Form 45. I'll have somebody to explain, or maybe probably I'll explain what is the Form 45 and what is the Form 47. But before going any further, I would like to introduce our first guest. You all know him now. I think the whole Pakistani nation knows him. He's a very famous guy in Pakistan. The guy from The Intercept, Ryan Gwynn. Hey, Ryan. Good morning. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How are you, Ali?
Good. Thanks for joining us. Mohit Pirzada was supposed to moderate it, but I think he's not available right now. So, I'm just going to ask you a few questions. Ryan, Form 45, just to explain to you guys a little, if each constituency has the polling stations. So let's say the constituency number NA 181, so NA stands for National Assembly. So 181 is the number of that constituency, right? So that has, let's say, 300 polling stations. So each polling station has their vote casted. And once they're done, like 5 p.m. or whatever, so after that, they count the votes. So let's say if me and you are running against each other, so I'll have 300 votes, you have 200 votes, so we both sign it and we both get the copy. So that copy is the Form 45. So that Form 45 we receive from all 300 polling stations, and then what Election Commission would do is they will issue a Form 47. Form 47 is the form which has all the 300 polling stations. They add all of them, and that's the final number. So that Form 47 is only issued by the Election Commission of Pakistan, but Form 45 is by the presiding officers. So what we have seen is that we have on the 176 seats, we have the Form 45, and we are winning. But there are candidates that we have are winning with the 50 to 60,000 votes of lead. But Form 47 says otherwise. So this is how the elections are going on. And then you have been very vocal about it since yesterday. I've seen your tweets. And then the recent tweet that you have about the State Department that they have issued the press release. So first off, elections in Pakistan, right?
Right. It does seem like that the key thing for people to watch is the discrepancy between these Form 45s and these Form 47s. And I think that this reading between the lines of the State Department's comment on the election, they do seem to be aware of how difficult it's going to be for the military to basically just flip this election. I would highlight a couple of different lines from this statement. First of all, they start by acknowledging all of the problems in the election, which they could do or not do. They chose to do that. And they say, we join credible international and local election observers in their assessment that these were unfair restrictions. But then later they say claims of interference or fraud should be fully investigated. Then they say from there, the United States is prepared to work with the next Pakistani government, regardless of political party, to advance our shared interests. That's an important line because obviously the United States is happy to work with any of the other governments that the military is.
Even if it's Imran Khan?
Well, no, that part was not obvious before this. But the reason that this line is interesting, they didn't have to say that they are prepared to work with Nawaz Sharif. Like everyone already knows that they are happy to work with Nawaz Sharif. Like that is obvious. And when they say we are prepared to work, when you're prepared to work with someone, that generally means it's not your first choice, but you're ready for it and you will do it if you have to. In other words, it's not saying the United States is excited to work with the next Pakistani government. If it was Nawaz Sharif that they expected to win, you could imagine, we very much look forward to working with the next government. For them to say that the United States is prepared to work with the next Pakistani government, regardless of political party, is a shift in rhetoric from them, and I think suggests underneath a deeper shift going on. The line where they say, "We now look forward to timely, complete results that reflect the will of the Pakistani people." That is also a deliberate choice. They did not have to make reference to the quote will of the Pakistani people. To make reference to the will of the Pakistani people amid news reports that there is a surge of support for PTI is an acknowledgement, and it is a nudge toward the military to make sure that the will of the Pakistani people is acknowledged.
Well, see, the thing is that
this should be the last one because I have to jump off to another interview.
Okay, alright. Just one more
apologies.
question. I'm gonna let you go because I think we have like 2 more minutes.
Sure.
So can I shoot another question?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So and this is what we have discussed the last time. Then when me and you were together in an interview, and I asked you that why U.S. only deals with the Pakistani military, and it is still the same. Nothing has changed, obviously. So if the Pakistani military is not ready to work with the government with the party who has won the majority of the seats, how would it be? What kind of position the U.S. would be in that if the military establishment, which is their allies or the partners with them, are not ready to work with them, but the U.S. is ready to work with them? How would that pan out?
Well, it means that the army has a decision to make. Does it want to concede defeat and share party and try to maintain then a cordial and diplomatic relationship, with the United States, or does it want to, just effectively pull off what will have to eventually probably become, military dictatorship? Because, you can suppress this for a short amount of time and maybe even in the medium term, but over the long term, the Pakistani people have made clear here that there is a tide of support for change. That's not going to be held back indefinitely through the ballot box. That maybe you could hold it back, through brutal repression and military dictatorship. That would, though, bring, that could risk sanctions, that could risk international isolation, and so I think the Pakistani military is going to have to decide, how far they want to push it.
Okay, already good to go. And thank you very much. Before we let you go, that you always raise the questions when you are there in the State Department about Pakistan. So thanks a lot. And the human rights. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you. So this was Ryan Grimm with us, and he had to go, so he was just there for a little bit with us. But our next guest, so I'm gonna probably try to get everybody together on the screen so that we can ask the question to each other, and we can ask the questions to each other. So probably turn this into a discussion instead of an interview. My first guest who I'm going to add is Jeffrey Sachs. Jeff, thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. You have been very vocal about the human rights in Pakistan, and also you have been writing about the regime change in Pakistan backed by the U.S. So now that we understand, and you understand obviously more, that after yesterday's and until whatever the circus is happening in the country, people are blaming the U.S. Pretty much that this is because of the U.S. If it had happened in Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, or any other country, probably U.S. would have been like, probably they would have declared the war by now to save the democracy.
First, let me say Imran Khan is the favorite and extraordinary politician of Pakistan, and he has the broad popular support of the people of Pakistan. This is clear, and in my experience dealing with him, he's a really remarkable person. So I very much admire him. clearly the United States usually does not admire strong, independent-minded people. The United States wants subservience. And it's pretty clear, and Ryan Grimm was a key reporter on this, we should add, that the U.S. helped to bring down Imran Khan because Imran Khan was saying from the start of the Russian special military operation, make peace at the negotiating table. And the United States didn't want to hear that. They wanted to defeat Russia on the battlefield, which, by the way, was a disastrous, stupid mistake, so typical of the U.S. government, unfortunately. But they played an active role in bringing down Imran Khan. This is obvious. And then irony of ironies, when he waved the document, the cipher that showed what the U.S. had done, then he was charged with espionage. So you just could not make up the surreal nature of all of this, but it's also tragic. Now, what seems to be clear, I'm watching from afar and just trying to understand the polling, but it seems that despite every repression of the PTI, every attempt to suppress Imran Khan's party and his popularity, the people are saying, this is the person we want to lead Pakistan. Now, the United States, it's really can be a very nasty government, very nasty place. It's interesting that it says in the State Department that claims of interference or fraud should be fully investigated. Well, the first claim is you, the United States, made the first interference. So let's investigate it rather than this really crude, simple-minded dismissal. In fact, when Imran Khan was sentenced to 10 years on espionage for revealing the U.S. interference, the same spokesman...
They said that he damaged the relationship between the Pakistan and the U.S.
The same spokesman of the U.S. said, we respect the courts of Pakistan. Are you kidding? How about claims of interference or fraud should be fully investigated, to coin a phrase? So okay. I hope the United States understands that its attempt to repress the highly intelligent, enormously skilled, and by the way, someone who would like to have good relations with the United States, Imran Khan, who has the backing of the Pakistani people, should not be pushed away by the United States or the military or anybody else. This is very straightforward.
All right, John. I'm going to add my other two guests, and we're going to start this discussion further down. Shahzad Akbar is with us. He's a former advisor to the Prime Minister. Not a very famous guy in the military ranks. They don't like him much, but Shahzad Ali Mustafa is also with us. He's covering the Pakistani elections. So before I go to Shahzad, let me ask you, Ali, the election in Pakistan you've been covering. What is your read on it?
Well, going into the elections, it was the most pre-poll rigging that we've seen, at least that I have seen in all the elections that I've covered in this country since, even under Musharraf. But the fact that it was so blatant, despite 2 years of trying to quash Imran Khan through the vote of no confidence, then jailing up to 10,000 of his supporters, including women, including 1,500 TikTokers, I might add, despite taking his election symbol just before the elections, and despite convicting him in these kangaroo courts, they were unable to seal the deal, so to speak. And that's why we saw, after the polls closed, that the election results were slowed down, the transmission of these, and by midnight, according to my own sources, various television networks received instructions not to put out party positions of various political groups, as it became clear that Imran Khan's quote-unquote independence, because all these individuals, the candidates from Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf were competing as independents because their party symbol was taken away. They were in the lead. And then overnight, you saw this heist, a change of numbers, almost, live on screens, where people that were leading by 100,000 votes initially found themselves losing to the other side. So it was quite a remarkable play out of events, something that we haven't seen in modern
I mean, you
times.
have covered the elections in the different countries. You are worked with the TRT, and you're very respected in Turkey too. So you have seen the elections in Pakistan and other countries. Have you ever seen the democratic values being destroyed the way they have been in Pakistan in the last 24 months?
It hasn't been this blatant. The not just what happened after voting ended, but in the lead up to what was happening in this country for the past 2 years. And the inflection point here is quote unquote May 9th. That's when the memory or the state's memory on this issue begins, which the state, the Pakistani state, the military leadership views as an insurrection against the state itself. And it charts a course whereby it has detained arbitrarily thousands of people just for being present by geolocation in these specific areas where these violent mob attacks took place, but then to basically detain them indefinitely for months on end without charge, to victimize these individuals and their political group. I don't think we've seen it before, even though supporters of the PMLN, Nawaz Sharif, will disagree. They will say that this has happened in the past. In 2018, they were suppressed, but the election symbols weren't taken. And I think what is different now is the amount of people that have come out to vote and to change the calculus. This didn't happen with the side that was being victimized or traumatized in the past. So there's a clear break of what has happened in this country in the past 24 hours.
Okay, already good to go. Shahzad Akbar Saab, you were with me last night in the show in our live transmission of elections, and we were talking about the same thing. And when the numbers were growing up, I mean, it has soared up to like 100,000 lead. We have seen NS71 Rehana Dar versus Khaja Asif. We have seen Salman Akram Raja, NA129 in Lahore. He has not lost any of the polling station yet. On Form 47, he lost the elections, by the way, to their puppet on Chaudhry. Well, I think he's going to join us soon, Salman Akram Raja, and we're going to ask him these questions to him. But my question to you, that what we were afraid of, that they can do anything, or I mean, that's what I think that we were talking about. I mean, unless they try to give him a deal or something to Imran Khan, if he won't agree, then this is what they're going to do. But they have not been succeeded in so far. I mean, Nawaz Sharif has a victory speech with the 58 seats on the board, on the scorecard. PTI is still leading with its independent candidates. Where do you see these things going?
I think we have to take account of the situation on ground, what exactly is happening and what our military is doing. As you said in your intro, that military is not very fond of me, and neither am I of them. It's basically quite clear. They, as Ali was saying as well, they pushed Imran Khan and PTI against the wall. They did everything they could. And yet the people of Pakistan spoke and they came out and they voted in favor of one very fundamental thing, which is important for a working democracy, that you give mandate for working of the government, a simple and clear mandate. And that was given. The number that is, according to our own PTI estimation, and as per the Form 45, which is the actual form that is related with, which is backed by votes, that is given by all the ROs on polling stations to the polling agents. That is Form 45. According to them, PTI has won more than 179, 180 seats in the parliament. Right. So what military is doing from last night, from midnight, is engineering towards a hung parliament. Now, this hung parliament serves two purposes for the military. First, it takes away the mandate, it takes away the clarity that you need in this current turmoil, the situation that we are in, the economic, financial mess that we are in, which can only be resolved through political stability. So it's taking that away, and then it's pushing the whole political lot into that array of uncertainty, which is a hung parliament. Now, Nawaz Sharif has been made to make a speech, a victory speech with the least numbers. He's standing there with straight face and saying that PMLN has emerged as the leading party, which is not true. I mean, which is not true at all. Now, And who is now the most important person in the situation that has been engineered by the military is our very own Mr. Asif Ali Zardari. So he has taken a plane and he has flown into Lahore, and now Asif Ali Zardari, Ishaq Dar, and Shehbaz Sharif. They have one thing in common, and I will not go into that right now, but they all three are now sitting, and then basically they will be commanded by the military to form a government. Now, what they will do is it's basically continuation of what military or the current army general had created, the SFIC. Now, it is the continuation of that. This is the continuation of hybrid rule. The unfortunate reality of it is that I think West, especially US and UK, are very comfortable with that, and they're very comfortable with that because rather than dealing with bickering politicians where they might be on equal footing when they're negotiating anything with Pakistan, they just have to deal with the military. So this situation is just the continuation of what was existing before. This is the same PDM. It's the remaking of that. Now
Okay.
when I say this, there's only one. Let just give me one more minute.
Sure.
There's one thing which is different from what has been happening in the past. Military has been in habit of doing this, creating this situation where they get the real benefit. The only difference right now is Imran Khan and the people of Pakistan, and people of Pakistan are giving that mandate to Imran Khan. Imran Khan has given them very tough time in last 2 years without this mandate. Now the people of Pakistan have spoken for him, and I'm wondering what he will be plotting from his prison cell now, that how the coming months and years are going to be for this, this cahoot of this, this consortium that they're forming. I don't think they will be able to serve.
Okay, alrighty. So, Jeff, I'm going to come to you about this. See, as Shahzad was saying, and I said it in earlier too, that Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, the Imran Khan's party, has more than 176 seats where they have the Form 45. They have won it with the margin of 8,000, 10,000, 50,000 up to 100,000 votes. The situation has changed, in whatever they're doing, trying to tamper the results and all. But the thing is that if we link this to the US, the United States-backed regime change, don't you see the defeat to the US narrative too? And because of the fact that the US, wherever they have changed regime, the things were pretty smooth after that, after a year or two or so. But it's not happening in this country because the voter and supporter is with Imran Khan. That's one. Secondly, add into that, how do you see that this will affect the elections that's going to happen in November in the United States for the Democratic Party? Would they back off from their stance onto this, or would they keep backing up, the military, whoever, or not Imran Khan and anybody else?
Well, the bad news is the U.S. capacity to make chaos and destruction has almost no limit. So it is not the case that most regime change operations lead to some kind of outcome that the U.S. That serves even U.S. interests. The U.S. generally makes a mess of things, and it's a most incompetent government, by the way, throughout modern times. So here we have a clear, stunning result of this election, that Imran Khan is clearly has the backing of the people of Pakistan overwhelmingly, despite every single obstacle. One has to hope that there is some reflection in the United States and in the Pakistani military that a weak, divided, and unstable Pakistan is so far from Pakistan's interest and the U.S. interest that somebody, some grown-up in the U.S. and in Pakistan understands that you don't completely subvert the will of the people, especially at a time of economic crisis and geopolitical tension. This is the time when Pakistan needs a strong, clear leader for Pakistan's own good, for the military, for the United States security. So
the people of Pakistan understands this, obviously, but probably not the people who thinks that they can make all the decisions. They don't.
It's again, I have to emphasize, I live in a country with a government so incompetent. It's in wars everywhere. It creates instability everywhere. But there must be, I'm still waiting, but there must be a few grown-ups. Actually, the head of our CIA was once upon a time a leading diplomat. He is a smart guy, by the way. The agency, my God, that's something different. But this is a time for people to reflect. We need stability in Pakistan. There's a big economic crisis. There's a regional crisis. There's a global crisis. To deliberately foment instability and internal discord inside Pakistan, either by the military or by the U.S. security state, is so mind-bogglingly mistaken. So I would hope that today people would read the real election results, not the ones being reported, but the real election results, and understand there is an overwhelming mandate that could produce a stable, intelligent, capable government that could actually address real challenges that Pakistan faces. That's the message today. That's the hopeful part of the message. Whether they figure it out in Washington, it's hard, but we're going to try.
All right. Now, I'm going to take what you said, Jeff, to Ali. And Ali, as he said about the elections in in Pakistan right now.
Well, I want to ask a question. If I can ask a question from Jeffrey Sachs.
Sure.
What if Trump comes to power in November?
That was my first.
That we've got a lot of time between now and November. I know, and a lot of things can play out. But if Trump comes to power, his relationship with the Pakistanis was different, wasn't it? What happens?
I have to tell you, when Trump comes to power, we have no idea what's going to happen next, because he's not exactly a stable, predictable character. Biden is clearly in a phase of senility, by the way. It's absolutely alarming. The breakdown in front of our eyes means that we don't really have a functioning government right now that is in capacity. So there's a real problem that is a pretty significant one in general. But Trump, I can only tell you he is an unstable personality. So you can't expect predictability. It's different from the party in power now, which is the security state, pretty firmly in power. And this is the part of our political structure that overthrows governments, that does regime change, that goes to war, that boosts the military, and so forth. That is the Bush, Obama, Clinton, and Biden side of our politics. So this is the security state in power. Trump means everything is thrown up in the air, and it becomes quite complicated, but it becomes very hard to predict as well.
I just want to add an adage here very quickly. Jeffrey Sachs and I met 5 or 6 years ago in Turkey, in Istanbul, where I lived for about 8.5, 9 years. And I was there on the night of the coup in Turkey on July 15, 2016. And how that played out, what the American reaction was, and what the Russians, how Putin responded to that whole situation. You have I wouldn't say a similar dynamic play out in Pakistan, but you've got a lot of volatility. On one end in Turkey, you've got a huge economic crisis now. Turkey is firmly in the Western camp, once again, post-Ukraine. They've allowed Sweden into NATO. On the other end, you've got Israel and Gaza, which is quite heated up. And that affects a lot of other countries in Lebanon, for example. And on this end, you've got Iran, you've got the Strait of Hormuz, the activity there, and you've got Pakistan. So when you talk about a security state or a security dynamic play out in West to South Asia, I think it's a very interesting time for the Pakistani security state as well, right, Jeffrey?
Well, I think it's the time for a leader that has public backing to be able to take measures in Pakistan's national interest, rather than internal disarray within the country. That's what I hope they can figure out in Washington, that to have division, repression of the vote, this farce and tragedy with Imran in how many decades of imprisonment at this point, that this serves no purpose at all for anybody, not U.S. interests, certainly, not Pakistan's interests. And we are at a time when you need actually effective leadership. For Pakistan to be adrift or divided right now with all that's going on in the world is really a big risk. And because of the financial fragility, it's an added cascading risk. So I'm hoping that the U.S. wakes up to a basic reality that the popular will in this case is absolutely the U.S. interest as well as Pakistan's interest.
No, Ali, I mean, you asked a question and you had a comparison with the Pakistan situation with the Turkey when in July 2016. Don't you think that it's more comparable between the Egypt and Pakistan, what has happened? Because now Imran Khan is in the jail, same, the charges, the bogus charges on, hoping that they were going to give him a death sentence, which they didn't, but like 10 years in one case, 14 in one, and 7 in one. So that altogether about like 30 years of prison in the jail. The only difference probably is that Morsi then had a 23% of the popularity, while Imran Khan is more than 80%. Probably this is the only difference, but the rest of the script is pretty much the same. Don't you guys think, including Shahzad Akbar? So I want to turn this into a discussion instead of the question answer session. And Ali, you take the lead on this. But this is my question to all three of you: that don't you guys think that it has more comparison to do with the Egypt situation, Mohammed Morsi, than the Istanbul, Turkey?
Absolutely. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I just wanted to jump in that there's a huge difference, though, of 40% and 80%. I mean, the fact is Pakistan has a double bonus in this, which is that there is an extremely intelligent, capable, and highly popular politician who just won a big election despite every one of the odds. So this is a huge public benefit for Pakistan.
And may I add here, because I think the script that was written initially may have been the same script as Egypt, because at that time Imran Khan's popularity, because we had the incumbency factor as well when Imran was in power, and at that time they probably started implementing the script knowing that the approval rating of Imran Khan at that time was somewhat in 30s. But it's actually what they did, because people might be happy or not happy with a government who is succeeding or not succeeding, and there could be many factors to that. But actually the people's response right now is, when Imran Khan was replaced with the same old circus, this is what made people very unhappy. And at the same time, Imran's refusal to accept his treatment at the hand of that time Army Chief General Bajwa, and then Imran Khan doing what the constitution required the prime ministers of doing, that he informed the people what actually has happened to him. Because in the past, when similar action was done to any other elected prime minister, whoever it was, they opened their mouth 10 years later or something. But Imran Khan went away at the cost of his life, because that costed an attempt on his life straight away. But he did not budge. And the simple reason for that was that he actually had an absolute clarity about his what he wants, and what's his purpose of even having this political party. So therefore, he did not budge for a moment, and he still is not. And I'm just going to repeat myself again that Ali, that actually the script originally written might have been the same, but the treatment on ground is very different. It's very different. And as I think Jeffrey has rightly said, that on ground what you have is Imran Khan, who is a very different animal to your normal politicians that we've always experienced, because he has this foresight that he actually, I think he himself walked into prison when they were threatening him that they will send him to prison, and using this as the last result, he sits in prison and now he commands the politics of Pakistan from his prison.
Yeah. By the way, I knew Morsi a little bit, and I know Imran, and there's a big difference.
Yes.
Imran is an incredible leader, also, and a very
No,
brave man.
let me rephrase. I was not comparing the leaders,
yeah,
though, but
of
the
course,
situation itself. You know,
But the
the way
situation.
that the script is the same, like the ditto script. Like the script was very easy. They take him out of the power, and then people are gonna forget about him, put him in the jail, and then that's it. Boom, boom. You know, let's
Yeah, but
let's.
fundamentally, Egypt and Pakistan, you're right, are both rentier security states, which have been in service of the United States for quite some time as regional enforcers. Play out. We saw in Pakistan, for example, the Coalition Support Fund, which effectively made the Pakistan army a mercenary army for hire, essentially. And the mind always goes back to Afghanistan because Imran Khan's downfall coincides, or the plan to take out Imran Khan coincides with the US withdrawal from Afghanistan as well. And the statements that come out of the Imran Khan government, absolutely not, no bases to the Americans, and so on and so forth. And if you speak to Pakistani politicians later on, like Shandana Gulzar, she says that the conspiracy starts to unravel or begin in October 2021 when she is asked to switch sides and so on and so forth.
Mhm.
So there are a lot of things here in play which activated the rentier security state in Pakistan, in Egypt as well at the tail end of the Arab Spring. So there are similarities. Yes, Ali, you were right.
So yeah, so moving forward with this, now the script, whatever they have, whatever the script that they've written, I mean, yeah, on ground probably people would say that they have succeeded because now Imran Khan is in the jail, the party is not there anymore, and the supporters are in the jail, blah blah blah. But you know, the voters and the numbers tell us otherwise. I mean, it is opposite of what they wanted. So where is the? I mean, don't you think that they're at the dead end? They have to either sit with them. And Shazad, you would be participating in this more probably because you know them in and out probably more, and then you have all the other users that if they have offered something to him or not. So don't you think that they are at kind of a dead end? Imran has nothing to lose. I mean, they put him in jail for so many years on the bogus cases. You know, even it is with the lower court. What do PTI or Imran Khan has to lose? Nothing. The other side has to lose everything. So don't you think that they are at the dead end with the results which are coming since yesterday?
I think that end is the, you know, what really worries me is that we are in the same situation that we were in 1971, and unfortunately, the gentleman who was sort of running the state of the affairs in 1971 has a lot of similarities with the gentleman now. And if you look at the similarities, I think right now PTI has something around 180 seats. Uh, at that time, Mujib's party had 179 seats. The treatment of Imran Khan is what they did to Mujib as well. And where did that lead us? I mean, eventually to desecration of Pakistan. And right now, if you look on ground, today I've been in touch with people in KP, and the situation in KP is actually very bad. Uh, there's violence brewing up. People are feeling that their mandate is being stolen time and again, and KP has this feeling more than anyone else, and the similar feelings are brewing in Balochistan, because I mean, what relevance PPP has to the issues of Balochistan? Why PPP emerges as the leading party, whereas Dr. Maharang Baloch, when she was sitting in Islamabad, kind of support that she gained from even mainland Pakistan, and when she goes back to Balochistan, she commandeers hundreds and thousands of people coming on street and ordinary Balochs. So the question here arises is that it's the end of the road, but end of road for what? Because this is a dangerous path that the regime is now pursuing, because it's actually leading to a very um, it's leading to somewhere where we don't know what will happen next. And a failed country, a failed Pakistan with 250 million population is in no one's favor. No one
Exactly.
can really afford that. The institution, the army, they really have to now have this sort of a thinking inside that this one man's rule has to be now reconsidered. Yes, it's important for discipline, but is it that important when it is at the cost of your own country? I mean, Imran Khan is right now in very comfortable situation, because you know what, politically speaking, and having been in the government in a key position for 3.5 years, I can tell you right now no politician in this saner mind would like to touch the seat of prime ministership, because right now you are in a political economic mess. No one is ready to listen to the other side. You have a very unwilling military to work with a real politician, a real leader. So in these circumstances, do you think Nawaz Sharif or Asif Ali Zardari or even Shehbaz Sharif, who is very compliant to military's wishes and commands, will be able to deliver anything? I think the only thing he will be able to hand out is, some used laptops. That's it. Nothing more than that. So, so this is a situation where, I mean, Imran Khan, I can predict the time now in few months that these people will be going to Adiala Imran's cell and begging him, because he's the only factor now that unites Pakistan. He has that compassion for the people of Pakistan from all corners. He in himself is a whole Pakistan, coming from, on one side of his family being a Pashtun, and, being born and brought up in Punjabi, being part Punjabi, and having that feeling and compassion, and a person who has had his concern with all such issues in Pakistan from the beginning of his politics. What's happening in Balochistan, what's happening with missing persons, the drone strikes in Pakistan, the military, the military attacks, the military operations in the tribal areas. And people in the periphery also believe and trust in Pakistan, and he is only person who now unites Pakistan. And what the military leadership is doing is actually dividing Pakistan. So
Okay, I'm gonna go in
And
towards the wrap up
Shahzad,
because Ali has to go and Jeffrey probably also has a limited. Yeah, Jeffrey.
I just wanted to ask Shahzad, which I think with your impeccable description and logic, could the military understand that this is actually the time for a
This is
strong,
our question.
stable
Yes.
government?
And Jeff, I have a very simple and clear answer for that. 95% of the military understands. But the problem is that, as I indicated, the discipline and the formation of Pakistani military as it is now, that no one questions the chief, but everyone actually really questions his logic and actions right now. It's the discipline within this institution. I actually have firm belief in the pragmatism of Pakistani military, because as an institution and as a whole, it's actually very pragmatic force, and that is the reason for its existing so successfully for so long. But at the same time, the problem lies with this one man rule. That's a fundamental
With
for
no
military.
accountability.
Yeah, no even internal accountability. Let's say there is an
Yeah.
external accountability and there is internal institutional accountability, and that doesn't exist. And Pakistani military has to now have this thinking, and this thinking process going on, because while I'm sitting here, I'm in touch with a lot of people, retired and serving, who have this concern, because they see it's slipping away. Things are slipping away out of their hands, and soon there will be a time there could be confrontations on the street, which is not good for anyone.
Alrighty, Ali, would you like to add something into it, the question that I asked, and then I'm gonna throw one last question to all of you before we wrap this up. I think Ali's picture is Ali. You have a bad connection. We can. Okay. Already. No, Ali's picture is stuck. So Ali, would you probably he needs to rejoin us, and let me try to add him again. Okay, Ali, can you hear us? Because we cannot see you. Anyways, all right, Jeff. Let me ask you this: how can we? I mean, you're in the U.S., so I would ask you that people in Pakistan or the international journalists or whoever, how can we convince the U.S. that it is not a good idea to support a party which is not backed by the people of Pakistan? It is not in the interest of the U.S. either, let alone in the interest of Pakistan. I mean, when a large number of population is with the certain party, and supposedly, not supposedly, in fact, you are against that regime and you're supporting the regime opposite to it, and the difference is not 40% and 43%. The difference right now, the popularity is one is more than 80% and the other is losing their own seats. So how can we convince the US that it is against the interest of the US also, and for the upcoming government, whoever forms the government and the member?
I think the most important thing is a very clear recitation of what has just happened, a very clear and quantitative one-page statement that Imran Khan won this election overwhelmingly, Now, what are the implications? And now this has to be known inside the Beltway, as they say, inside the United States. But clarity will be the main factor right now. And what you've explained, 180 seats, and this despite everything, every voice that can be mustered to explain what has just happened, so that it is not obfuscated inside the United States, will be extremely important.
Yes, Shahzad.
Sorry, I was distracted by my.
I'm sorry?
No, sorry, I was saying distracted by my daughter who just walked in. So
Okay, sorry.
distracted
No.
by me.
I was asking that how do we convince the US or the Western powers in general, like US is like the biggest, and then the country that you're in right now, England, and all these other Western powers, how can we convince them, look, it is not in your interest either? I mean, actually, as a matter of fact, you said it last night, Shahzad, that this is not, even the India doesn't want unstable Pakistan. India
No
would
one
want
wants
unstable
it.
Pakistan.
The problem, and
All
I've written about it as well, that the problem with the West or any external factor, I mean, we have to put our house in order. They just want to deal with Pakistan. They just want to know who's in charge. The problem is when the West, it's not their fault. I mean, when US or UK or any other country deals with Pakistani politicians, then the military is saying something else, because military is always telling them this is, the real shop is set here. And now with this prolonged thing, I think the West is fed up as well, and then there is this security dynamic, and then there's continuous reliance of various Western countries. I mean, especially UK over Pakistani intelligence. I have argued here very openly that UK actually has become a client state of ISI, because whatever intelligence ISI feeds the US intelligence, so UK intelligence, they really believe on it, and they don't even have a choice because they don't have any other. There's no one else giving them that. So
Actually, they don't have a foreign policy. I mean, what they do is they just copy paste whatever the US says in a way. Whatever, like when it's the evening in the US, it's the nighttime in England. So when they wake up in the morning, they just copy paste it. So they don't have, since the Winston Churchill. I mean, not recently, since the Winston Churchill. If you really look at it, like the UK, they don't really have a foreign policy.
No, UK actually has a foreign policy element to Pakistan, because UK's foreign knowledge.
No, overall, I'm talking about.
No.
Yes,
vis-a-vis Pakistan and ISI connection, it's basically because UK has a very large Pakistani community, Pakistani descent community, and UK has serious concerns with, extremist issues, and for that they need a continuous intelligence line from the ISI. And this is something that ISI knows, and it actually uses it for its own purpose quite well. UK Foreign Office, even publicly has admitted that how ISI's intelligence has helped them foil many terrorism plans. And I also question that, saying that how do you know that actually it helped them foil, and they're not the one who are the creator of that, and then they help you sort it out. So there are many issues relating to security, although the real core values of FCDO's foreign policies are not terrorism. It's actually something else. It's promotion of democracy. Pakistan is following the Westminster parliamentary democracy and promotion of that, which I think we hardly pay any attention to. However, I have a news for you. I was very pleasantly surprised because Cameron Munter has not Cameron, James Cameron has just the foreign policy.
He has
issued a statement which is actually much more clearer than US and EU, because it has shown its serious concerns over the fairness of the election as well. Because when I look at the EU statement, it talks more about women not being able to participate and minorities. UK has been a bit more specific, but that's actually driven by the Pakistani community in UK.
Okay, I'm just going to wrap this up. Jeff, thank you so much for joining us. Shahzad, thank you so much. I think Ali got disconnected, but before I let you guys go, Jeff, one question. And one of your videos went very viral. I mean, about Imran Khan, and then you were talking about Imran Khan and me as a supporter and a voter of Imran Khan, and so is Shahzad actually. So we would love to hear it from you. How do you see Imran Khan different than all the other politicians in Pakistan and probably the rest of the world? Do you see him any different?
Yes, I do. I meet world leaders all the time, and he is an extraordinary figure. And from the first time I met him until now, I have always found him to be extraordinary, incredibly personable, incredibly intelligent, incredibly honest. I am a huge fan, a huge admirer.
Alrighty, so we would welcome you to Pakistan once he is in the office again, and which is going to happen very soon.
When Ali, when you and me are also allowed to go back.
Yeah, well, when we are allowed to go back, we are not. Not right now. We are the persona non grata for a long time. So once we are, then sure, then we would just allow you to come over there. And thank you so much for your time, guys. And we really hope that the better sense will prevail, and then to the U.S. side and the military side, because the connection between the two is very important, because they take their feedback from here and them from with each other, and they think that they can only deal with the military establishment. They don't have to deal with the elected prime minister, which itself is a denial of a democracy, which are the core values of the U.S. if they are the core values of the U.S. Because it seems like this is way off, where they're way off the radar this time. So we hope that the results that showing right now with the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf backing candidates, the independent, they're going to win it, and they will not hamper these elections anymore. And one more announcement that I have to make: we're going to start another show in about 30 minutes, and we have a very big announcement to make. So you guys will be surprised in about 32 minutes. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Thanks. Bye.